What is up, the Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P. We're back here once again, and you already know what time it is. It is time to bust that rhyme, talking about that slime on the grit and the grind. And again, you already know the time. One thing is for certain and three things are for sure when you see me in front of TV. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats and not none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. You want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. Now you may be asking yourself, how, Don? How, Mr. P? Does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very simple. I'm gonna tell you. You know, I don't like to hide the information from you. I don't keep it. Smash the like button, subscribe, share with your peoples. And once you've done these three things, in any order that you've done these three things in, you've indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic. And since sharing is caring, once you've shared this with your mothers, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your mothers, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your cousins, you name it, you have indeed cared about these people. What up to everybody in the chat? What up to Zach J? What up to Mark Garcia? Long time. It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step two, step two, step two, step two, step two. Baby girl. All right, you already know what that is. I don't have to tell you to use the hashtag. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, where you been? You're too young. You're too little. What up, Flex? We out here. We are out here indeed. And for Flex, I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? Just had to make sure. Anyway, we got some things to talk about, man. There have been some movements, and I don't know in which direction you thought that these movements would be made. I didn't think either one of these players was coming back, and now it seems as though neither one of these players is coming back because their contracts have voided. We talk about void years and we talk about contract stuff a lot on this channel. So we're going to get into what we got. We have an article here from Detroit Lions on SI. The hardest working man in Lions land, Dr. John Macaron, a.k.a. The Doc, friend of the show. He says contracts of two Detroit Lions void, adding to dead cap. Okay. The contracts of two Detroit Lions have officially voided, adding to the total due and dead money costs on the 2026 salary cap. As of February 14th, the contracts of veterans Alex Anzalone and DJ Reader were voided. Detroit is currently on the hook for $9,287,290 in dead money costs. They're 17th. As Spotrac explained, the contracts of DL, defensive lineman, DJ Reader, and LB linebacker Alex Anzalone are set to void today, leaving behind $4,929,000 of dead cap to the cap in 2026. The 31-year-olds should each draw solid interest on the open market next month. So if you're not getting this, they're no longer Detroit Lions. They're no longer on the books. Their contracts have voided. Now, there is a penalty for them no longer being on the books. It is dead cap money, and there is almost $5 million in dead cap money. That means before this happened, we were at around $4 million in dead cap money. Now we are at $9 million, a little bit over $9,287,290 for our dead cap. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with dead cap, that means you can't use that money. That means you owe that money. That means that it is a penalty against your salary cap, right? Sometimes when contracts finish, especially when they have void years, whatever was left on the contract is owed immediately when the contract is voided. So this is the problem that we're facing right now. $9 million in dead cap money isn't a huge thing. You know, you have a lot of teams that have gone a lot higher than that. 50, 60, 70, 80 million dollars in dead cap. I don't remember where the Cleveland Browns were in dead cap with the Deshaun Watson deal, but it's somewhere around like 100 million if they cut him last year or something like it's some crazy number. So $9 million in dead cap really isn't that much. So it's nothing to really be extremely worried about. Mark Garcia says they got kicked to the curb. They did not get kicked to the curb. They just did not have an extension. They were not re-signed. They were not cut, anything of that nature. It's just the contract came to an end and it was voided. That's what that means. Can we add Levi and Pascal to that list? I'd love to. What up to Herb Gotti? I would love to add Pascal and Levi to that list. To point out, when the contract of an NFL player officially voids, it does not signal that they are immediately free agents that are free to go out and negotiate with other teams. They both will become unrestricted free agents at the start of the new league year on March 11th. What that means is they're not immediately free agents. Someone like Bradley Chubb, who was cut yesterday, is an immediate free agent. Someone like Tyreek Hill, who was cut yesterday, is an immediate free agent. All right. A voiding of a contract just signifies the end of your contract. So that means that you are then put into the free agent pool just like everyone else when the league year starts. All of the free agents who have contracts, okay, or maybe they played the last year and this is what happened. DJ Reed's contract finished, right? Alex Anzalone's contract finished. So that means that they have no more contract here. It's voided. They will be waiting. They are not immediate instant free agents. When you are cut from a team in this time period, you are an instant free agent. You can go sign with whoever you want, okay? So that's the difference. Both are still able to have conversations with the Lions starting March 9th during the legal tampering period to negotiate with general manager Brad Holmes about new contracts if both parties agree. I would be shocked to see DJ Reader back, especially with the social media spat that he had with the fans. Unless that was just emotion. DJ Reader is 31 years old. Alex Anzalone is 31 years old. Yeah, so it is what it is. These dead cap fees were set to be on the books for 2026. Even if Detroit agrees to bring them both back, they cannot be altered. Okay, so once the contract voids, it doesn't mean that you can recoup the dead cap money if you just sign them to a new contract. So that's what that is. What do you guys think? Do you believe that we should bring one of DJ Reader or Alex Anzalone back? Do you think we should bring both of them back? Mark Garcia says, I don't see either of them coming back. I don't see either of them coming back either. Look, especially with Alex Anzalone, because we've spoken about this before. You let Alex Anzalone walk. Don't bring someone in to replace him. Use this as an opportunity to switch your scheme. Use this as an opportunity to update your scheme. Stop playing the old, outdated, antiquated scheme of just, base 4-3, having just a bunch of linebackers, 3 linebackers on the field, and just man coverage. It's not working. It's not working. If you're a numbers person, and this is why I said I'm not really a numbers guy, because numbers lie without context. Men lie, women lie, numbers lie too. They say men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. That's not true. Numbers lie all the time, right? Numbers lie all the time. You see a guy get 15 sacks in a contract year, and the last 2-3 years, he had single digit sacks, and 5 was his maximum. And then he comes to a contract year because he wants to get that money. He gets 15 sacks, and then some team falls in love with him, and he goes, "Oh my God, he's turned the corner." And then you give him a bunch of money, and then he's butt cheeks after that. He goes back down to 5 sacks per year, and he's not worth the contract that you gave him. When we were talking about the AQM sacks, and we're talking about he runs into some of the sacks that he gets, or some quarterback like Caleb Williams, Lamar Jackson, they're trying to, and I think he sacked both of them multiple times. I know he sacked Lamar Jackson 3 times. I'm not sure if he sacked Caleb Williams multiple times, but the quarterback running into the sack, maybe he held the ball for 5 seconds. That doesn't, so again, numbers without context. If you watch the Detroit Lions defense, and it's a feeling that you have, Detroit is such a great third down defense, but you always feel that they're not going to be able to stop the team on third down. You always feel like if it's look, we had, what did I call it? 3rd and a million. I mean, when AG was here, 3rd and 19 was like almost a guaranteed first down. It was like almost a guaranteed first down. This scheme is not working. It is extremely simple. If you say, well, the Detroit Lions love to play man coverage. They love to play man coverage, but they don't disguise it as zone. They don't adjust to play too much zone. They don't adjust when their players are hurt, which is all the time. Terrion Arnold gets hurt. Terrion Arnold, I believe, is one of the better man coverage corners. I know a lot of people don't like the fact that he's handsy and he gets penalties and things of this nature, but just look at his technique, look at his footwork, everything is there. He just has to trust the technique. He was starting to do that in year number 2, but then he got injured. Okay, so he goes down, and you put Amik Robertson out there, and Amik Robertson is not a man coverage corner. Amik Robertson is a gambler, right? So Amik Robertson would be better suited to play a lot more zone. I'm not saying he can't do any man coverage, but Amik will tell you himself, I was playing with bad eyes. And what does bad eyes mean? Bad eyes means I got caught looking in the backfield, right? There was one particular play, I don't remember the game that it was in, but he got burnt. And he was just sitting there looking in the backfield, and he thought he had help over the top, but he didn't have any help over the top. Right? So he's a gambler who would be better fit for a zone scheme, right? Another reason why you want more zone is because people have their eyes on the quarterback. When you're running man coverage, remember DJ Reed getting burnt, getting toasted, turning tail, and just in a sprinter stance. This is what you see, like he's in the freaking Olympics. He's not looking at the quarterback, right? He's got his eyes downfield, and he's sprinting after the person who's burning him. And if something develops behind him, he can't see it. So when you have zone coverage, you are looking at the line of scrimmage, and you're keeping things in front of you. And you play zone well. You pass people off. They've got to find openings and pockets in the zone. They've got to sit it down. They've got to do a bunch of stuff. But you've got everything in front of you, and you can see it better, right? What happens if you add zone coverage to a really good pass rush? If you add a really good pass rush to zone coverage, you're going to get a lot of turnovers because you're forcing people to make bad passes. And when you force a quarterback to make bad passes, you can see him making those bad passes because you're looking at him, right? So The Alex Anzalone thing, he's not coming back. He's been linked to the New York Jets. He's been linked to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a fit, not that he's at negotiations with them. Obviously, everyone thinks that it's the New York Jets because of AG, right? So now you're saying, okay, he's linked to this team, he's linked to that team. He'd be a fit here, he'd be a fit there. Cool, let him walk. 4-2-5. Stop with the 4-3. 4-2-5. Okay? 4-2-5. If y'all don't know how to read defenses, 4 means the front 4. 2 means the linebackers. 5 means the defensive backs. So you've got 5 defensive backs. What is that? It's a nickel. You get it? That's why they call it nickel, because you have 5 defensive backs. They call it dime and you have 6 or more defensive backs. Dime is 10, right? But you're not going to go out there with 10 defensive backs. But nickel, you're going to have 5 defensive backs. Your 5th defensive back is going to be your nickel back. Okay? Brian Branch should be your nickel back. Remember, Nick Imamwori was on the field for, was it 94% of the snaps for the Seahawks in the Super Bowl? Right? Devin Witherspoon, Nick Imamwori, very, very good kind of nickel type safety duo. Okay? You put Brian Branch back there. You do not allow for teams to say, well, we're going to get you out of the nickel. No, you just don't allow it. And if someone wants to get you out of the nickel, then you move Brian Branch. If you want to keep Brian Branch on the field, again, we don't know when Brian Branch is going to be back, and we don't know what he's going to look like when he gets back. But this is something that you need to be doing. It may be a blessing in disguise that Alex Anzalone is not going to be back, and you're not going to have to deal with a contract dispute or whatever the case may be. He can go somewhere else. Now, the only problem I would have here is that you would technically need to bring somebody in anyway, because you don't want it to be Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes. Derek Barnes has developed somewhat, but you don't want him to be the main guy, especially in coverage. I mean, did you see what happened to him with Jameis Winston? And he didn't transition well from coverage to chasing to it didn't work. He got embarrassed. So yes, you would have to bring someone in to replace Alex Anzalone. But your coverage more so. Okay. And here's where you actually may be able to keep Derek Barnes and just not replace at all. You're going to have to sign some linebackers in free agency and probably look for the Lions to go back to people like Trevor Nowatzki and just keep bringing these people back. Malcolm Rodriguez, they can probably get him back for a cheap deal. They're going to keep bringing these types of guys back, but just have them for depth. Don't be trying to have them on the field. You're forcing Malcolm Rodriguez onto the field because you got to go with 3 linebackers for whatever reason. Change the scheme. You're going to have a nickel back. He's going to do more coverage than the linebacker anyway. The linebacker will be able to focus on the shorter zones, or be focused on getting to the passer, or be focused on stopping the run. So you give less responsibility to your other linebacker. Obviously, Jack Campbell is your middle linebacker. He's going to have and he's not really a middle linebacker in this scheme, right? But he's still going to be the green dot guy. He's still going to have most of all of the responsibility that he has anyway. So that's what I would say. Let me know what you guys think. Let me get to your comments because I know they're coming in. All right. No, we have Jack Campbell now, and he wears the green dot now. Plus, Jack is much younger than Anzalone. Facts. Rodriguez is not on contract either. I think he's good against the run. Pass defense, not so sure. And that's what I meant by if you switch to a nickel scheme. What up, though, Robert Stevens? It would be better for you. What up, though, Brian Brady? Alex needs to go. We need a younger, faster, better. Well, he's gone. Pretty much. It's not that we're cutting him or getting rid of him. His contract is over. I got you. I got you. The Lions need to find a way to keep Malcolm Rodriguez in the fold. They'll, as I said, they'll probably bring him back. Derek Barnes is my dude, but needs to keep improving. He does. Tennis Rakestraw, you mean Ennis Rakestraw should be released? Has he even played for the team? I think he's played in a total of 8 games regular season. He's played, but not, you know, not anything impactful. He does still have to make the 53-man roster. I feel like if he gets hurt in training camp again, you just need to cut him. You just need to let it go. They will draft linebacker in the late rounds. Listen, I heard a take the other day that y'all might not like, but it also makes some sense. The take was, now are y'all ready for this? I'll explain it to you. The take was, don't be surprised if Brad Holmes drafts a linebacker in round number 1. And the reason for this take, they better wrap break straw and bubble wrap come training camp. The reason for this take was this. Everyone here, and it depends, obviously, it depends on what happens in free agency. But everyone here believes that the pick in round 1 needs to be a tackle, it needs to be a center, it needs to be a guard, depending on what happens in free agency. So it needs to happen on the offensive line. But the other pick, if it didn't happen on the offensive line, is everyone would think defensive end, edge rusher. Now, an edge rusher for the Detroit Lions doesn't necessarily need to get after the passer in their eyes. So if you bring in a linebacker who can cover, who can stop the run, and who can rush the passer, it is a very versatile pick. And then you could sign a mid-level edge rusher in free agency. You could get a specialist in the later rounds, so on and so forth. So while it wouldn't go over too well, I do understand the take, and it just depends on who they got. You might have some people, and this was like a value type of situation. What if you have some people fall? Because you are in 17, right? So you're pretty much in the middle of round 1. You're not dead middle. Dead middle will be 16, but you're 1 off of dead middle. So you do have some flexibility to trade up. And I know nobody wants to trade up in this draft because we wasted a lot of trade ammunition in previous drafts with a lot of 3rd-round picks that got wasted on nothing. So I know people don't want to see a trade up, but you're at 17. Brad Holmes said he was going to be aggressive with the offensive line. I'd love to see him be aggressive with both lines. I chronicled for you yesterday how Brad Holmes has actually spent more draft capital. 1 second. He's actually spent more draft capital on what you would call the defensive line, right? First round pick, Aiden Hutchinson. Second round picks, Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike. Third round pick, Aleem McNeil. Okay. Penei Sewell, first round pick. Tate Ratledge, second round pick. That's it. There's not too much happening. There's not too much going on with that situation. So that's what that is. What do y'all think about that? What would y'all think if they brought in a linebacker for the first round pick? We need to see the center and edge immediately and guard, tackle, linebacker, safety. And that's why I said it depends on what they do in free agency. If free agency is a big thing that matters here. Tackle or edge, I get it. No, bro, we need a center, left tackle, and a pass rusher in that order. I don't want to draft the center. And the reason I don't want to draft the center is because you are now talking about the offensive line being you're talking about the centerpiece of the offensive line, right? Can't really say anything other than that. No pun intended. You're entrusting that to a rookie, right? We all flipped out last year about them taking Tate Ratledge and then trying to turn him into a center as a rookie. And you're like, well, I don't know that I want to do that. So if we can sign a center, right? Everybody wants Tyler Linderbaum. If he even hits free agency, we talked about that yesterday. If he even hits free agency, then he might go to rejoin John Harbaugh, right? The thought is that what did they do? We talked about what they did. They're doing some cap space contract gymnastics, as the Ravens are, by not picking up his fifth-year option. It's not that they don't want him, they're not going to retain him. It's because offensive tackles or offensive linemen all have the same fifth-year option, right? So instead of dealing with that, then you just make him the highest paid center starting from wherever you were. Because if you don't know this, if your fifth-year option is $20 million, that's where the negotiation starts. Just like the franchise tag. If you franchise tag a player, and this is probably why the Lions don't do it too much. They haven't done it since, 2018? If you franchise a player, that's where your negotiation starts. So if you're a franchise tag, and they have a calculation like the highest paid and some other things. So let's say that you are a defensive end, right? You're an edge rusher. Your franchise tag is $35 million. If you want to retain that person's services after the franchise tag, the negotiation starts at $35 million per year. It's not going to be less. So while franchise tagging does ensure that you will have that player for one more year, it does kind of cripple you in your negotiations. Let's say franchise tag is $35 million, and this player would have accepted $30 million per year. They're no longer going to accept $34 million per year because you can't go below the salary cap. So that's why the Ravens, that's the theory as to why the Ravens didn't pick up the fifth-year option, because that's where the negotiation starts. Okay? Your fifth-year option may have been $20 million, and you may wind up paying him $20 million. You see what I'm saying? But you're paying him $20 million over the next 5 years instead of $20 million for 1 year. And then you've got to start the negotiation there. And it may get up to $25 million. So now the next 5 years, you're paying him $25 million per year. You see what I'm saying? So Tyler Linderbaum not having his 5th year option picked up does not necessarily mean that they are 100% not bringing him back. Okay. What was the dude's name? Cade something. Obviously not Cade Cunningham. This is not a Pistons channel, but shout out to the Pistons. Cade something. Cade. Don't remember his last name. If you guys remember his last name in the chat, let me know. Spotrac has him going for $12 million per year. That's something that I would, that I would like to see. Is it Connor McGovern of the Bills? He's probably going to go back to the Bills. But this is something like, so you want to get someone who's a veteran for your center. I'm not trying to draft a center. We don't have anyone for him to sit behind. We don't have anyone really to replace him if it goes bad, right? Because he's a rookie. It can go bad. He may be projected to be one of the top guys, and he may have to round into form. Remember, Frank Ragnow was a guard when he was drafted. All right. So we don't really have time for that. We need to fix our offensive line immediately. We also do not know what's happening with Taylor Decker. If Taylor Decker retires, you need to draft a tackle. Also, if he doesn't retire and there's a tackle there in the range of 17 to 13, okay, 13 to 17, because then if someone's at 13, you'd be like, okay, let's trade up and get that guy. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, the center being drafted is not something that I want to see. I want to make sure that you grab a center in free agency. Let's see. Trade for Edge OL in round 2. Trade for Edge with what? What picks? Unless you're talking about Max Crosby. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. Jimmy, like it matters. That dang order. For real, who cares? Get the best at the positions at the time. What is Brad Holmes' definition of aggressive? I don't know. It needed to be defined. So we'll see what happens. He'll trade back into the 3rd with next year's 3rd. We don't have a 3rd next year. I think we don't have a 3rd until, what's it, 2026, 2026. I think 2028 is when we have a 3rd, because he gave up. Yeah, he did a number with the Isaac Tesla trade. I don't mind drafting BPA, but when we have glaring holes at specific positions going into year 6, you lost the right to go BPA. Again, it does factor into what you actually do in free agency. Brad needs to get players that can play. Stop it with the dang projects. Again, he's got no 3rd round pick, so he can't take a project. Bro, you know how pissed off I would be if he traded into the third round just so he could draft the project? I'd be like, fire him today. Just don't even let him leave the draft room. Fire him right now. Center should be experienced. Facts. Free agent center, a vet. Those are facts. Don P, I do agree somewhat. You must get a center with experience, but I do think draft one late. I mean, if you want to draft one late and develop him, that's fine. You know, developing a center would be better than drafting one in, you know, drafting one of those project picks in the third round for sure. If the only thing we do is go out and get Tyler Linderbaum or maybe a couple of depth guys like Rodriguez and Lopez, I'm okay with that. Again, I mean, I'd love to get Tyler Linderbaum, but we have to see if he actually hits free agency. The Ravens can sign and trade him for draft picks. I don't think that's what they need. The Ravens are in contention, right? When you're in contention, you don't need a bunch of draft picks, right? And why would you trade Tyler Linderbaum, their center, for draft picks? If you're going to sign him, and sign and trades are not common in the NFL. Sign and trade is more of a NBA thing. If you're going to sign him and pay him the money, why then would you, you know, like why would you trade him away? Now you're creating a hole. He's an all-pro center. We don't need to do that. That doesn't make a lot of sense. And if you can't get Linderbaum, you still need a vet upgrade from Glasgow. And I'm trading up into the third to take a shot on a center. That's fine. That's fine. Like I said, it'd be better to get a guy in the third round at center to be developed into your starting center. Jonah Jackson, who was a decent player, but was injury prone. He was drafted in the third round. He's an interior offensive lineman. You know, interior offensive linemen, very interchangeable. If you can play guard, you can play center. If you can play center, you can play guard, things of this nature. The only thing with Tate Ratledge, yes, he probably can play center, but you didn't want him switching positions as a rookie and then being changed into a center. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't going to work. Cade Mays, there you go. There you go. Or possibly get two centers in free agency, one good one on a cheap prove it deal. One good one on a cheap prove it deal. If you can swing that. Not Cade Otton. No, Cade Otton is a tackle, is a tight end. Good job, Cade and Otton. Bet that's it. That's not it. Cade Otton is a tight end. Let me see. If Taylor doesn't retire by the start of free agency, I have a feeling Brad Holmes could release him anytime between free agency and the draft. I don't think you're releasing Taylor Decker. Again, the suggestions that you're making, like you're creating holes. Taylor Decker being released then creates another hole. Yes, you can you get like 18 million if you cut him, right? But are you going to go and get a tackle? Right? So you've got another hole, and you can't guarantee that the tackle that you want for this 18 million is coming here. You feel me? So that's the point. He's on the roster. You need to draft a tackle if there's someone there at 17. If there's someone there at 13, you go up and get him. Okay? And then he can sit behind Taylor Decker, learn, be groomed so he's our tackle of the future. Taylor Decker is only going to do one more year anyway. Ideally, that's what he said. So you're not going to cut Taylor Decker. in the last year of his contract, and just that's not gonna happen. 3 picks for Tesla, dumb move. Like Tesla, but dumb move. That is true. I think the Lions get a compensatory pick in the 4th round because of the Aaron Glenn hire. No, that was the 3rd round, and they used the compensatory picks in the Tesla trade. So you don't have any more of those Aaron Glenn picks. We get a 3rd pick, and Brad traded away for Aaron Glenn for Tesla, not Aaron Glenn. Yes, exactly. Don't worry, we can shift Manu to Waterboy. We will be. That creates 0 holes, by the way. There are no holes when you shift Manu to Waterboy because he's not doing anything anyway. We got 2 compensatory picks, 1 last year and 1 this year. Yes, he traded them both. I have a feeling they know that Decker's plan. They know what Decker's plan is, but won't come out until after the draft. That is cool. No, it's not after the draft. It's got to happen so look, we can't do that again. We just did that with Frank Ragnow. Taylor Decker must poop or get off the pot. He's got to let us know by the start of free agency or before the start of free agency, 1 day before, whatever. He's got to let us know what his intentions are, because if he's going to retire, then we do get that $18 million, and then we can go ahead and say, hey, give the money to somebody else, a tackle, right? So you do it right before free agency comes in. They've probably got money they've probably allocated Taylor Decker's money, and they know where they're going to go if Taylor Decker retires, but Taylor Decker must make the decision official so that we're not handcuffed. Right. Now, if Taylor Decker refuses, and I don't know why he would do this, if he refuses to make his decision before free agency, and he tells you, I'll let you know after the draft, absolutely not, then you cut him. But I don't think that he's going to do some crazy stuff like that. Our 2/3 are gone. Those are gone. We don't have them anymore. They were part of the package with Isaac Tesla. That's why I said we don't have a 3rd round pick next year. Or maybe we don't have them until next year, but we definitely don't have one this year. All right. Taylor Decker needs and must let us know by freaking April 1st. I'm not joking. That gives the Lions 3 weeks. No, not April 1st. March 9th. March 9th is your deadline, Taylor, because March 9th is the legal tampering period. March 11th is the start of free agency. We must know what he's doing by free agency, because if we know what he's doing by free agency, then we could sign a tackle, right? We could say, all right, boom, in free agency, we're going to go center, tackle, and then maybe a safety, right? So now in the draft, we've got a center, we've got a tackle, we have more flexibility. We've got a safety. We could just go ahead. Somebody like Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship is going to be $7 million a year. Okay, cool. Now, when you go into the draft, you go, okay, what do I need? Right? I don't need a center in round 1. I don't need a tackle in round 1. I don't need a safety in round 1. Now I can focus on some other needs. I can get that edge rusher, right? I can get the edge rusher. We'll do some we'll do some shows later on where we talk about prospects. Obviously, draft time coming and things of this nature. You will not know by free agency, but you must. That's not whether you do know or you don't know. This is the only realistic. This is the only realistic deadline. Whether they do it or not is on them. That's Brad Holmes's job, right? He must get that information out of Taylor Decker. Taylor Decker needs to let them know by free agency. I know you think he won't let them know, but it's asinine to believe otherwise because you must know this. The draft is not, I don't care about the draft because I need to have my entire offseason formulated. What is my player acquisition plan? And I know they're having these conversations because you cannot go forward. Free agency is coming. Taylor Decker needs to make a decision. Poop or get off the pot, bro. Because I can take your $18 million when you retire, and then I can go get another tackle. I can get Tyler Linderbaum. I can get into a bidding war because I've got that extra $18 million. Now, if I don't have that extra $18 million, and then I wind up not having a player, and you're like, oh, well, yeah, at least he let us know by the draft. No, that doesn't make any sense. Because I could have gotten that bidding war if I felt like, yo, I got this extra $18 million to play with. I can get Tyler Linderbaum. I can pay $2-3 million a year more or $5 million a year more than these other teams if he hits free agency. But if you don't know what you can do with that money, then you don't know. And then you go, well, I don't have enough money to get into. And again, I'm not the I don't have enough money guy because I know how it works. And that's a bunch of BS. But if you're playing it like that, Brad, bargain bin Brad, and this player doesn't let me know, this player is holding $18 million hostage. You see what I'm saying? So he's got to let him know. Are there rules against telling the organization you plan to retire without publicly announcing it or even having the paperwork signed to take effect at a later date type of thing? No, there's always post-June 1st cuts and all these things. No, even if you want to say it on the back end, then the Lions know. Okay, if you want to tell them on the back end, but you don't want to announce it yet, that's cool. Okay, now we've got your $18 million. You're going to retire. Okay, we can keep it hush hush, whatever. It's not going to be hush hush because if he files the paperwork, then it's whatever. There's probably something that you can do to finagle. It's like, okay, well, he's coming off the books, so we can access this money. I'm not sure exactly about that, but it probably would be available. I don't believe we'll know until on or about April 1st. That you may not know. The Lions must know. That's the point. You may not know. They may announce it later, but the Lions definitely cannot afford to be left holding the bag again. This just happened last year with Frank Ragnow. Just happened. And Brad Holmes told you, oh, there were breadcrumbs. Well, Brad Holmes better pick up them damn breadcrumbs this year and find out what trail they're leading to, right? Or what outcome or what destination they're leading to. That's what he needs to do. So you may not publicly know until April 1st. You may not publicly know until the draft, but the Lions must know. That's the point that I'm making. We don't have to know anything. The Lions need to know. What up, though, Stephanie? Stephanie Lickens, how you doing? I'm doing all right. I agree with you about Decker. I think we need to draft an OT regardless, in my opinion. We do need to draft a tackle, but if Decker stays, okay, you can kick that can down the road for one more year, right? generally you're gonna find pretty good tackles. I think tackle in the first round is kind of one of those things where you're gonna hit a lot on. I think there are probably fewer tackle busts than there are like first round corners, first round wide receivers. I think there's fewer busts in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on how the board shakes out and what you've done in free agency. Because if you have Taylor Decker in the fold and he's coming back, then you don't have to force yourself. And there could be a really good player. There could be a really good edge rusher. There could be a really good center. There could be a really good safety, whatever the case may be, who you didn't expect to be there at 17, and they're there. So you just go, okay, well, we've got Taylor. He's here for one more year. It's fine. We'll get a tackle next season. So what I'm saying? I guess if we ain't drafted one early, then yes, by free agency, he must let us know. Yes. And that's the thing. If he lets us know by free agency, then again, you want to go into the draft with as few needs as possible. You don't want to have a bunch of rookies that or you don't want to feel like you're handcuffed and you must take this position at this pick. You know what I mean? I think we need to get a FA center with some spirit. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. We're not trying to draft no centers. I take April 1st back totally by free agency. Facts. Because I want a free agency center also. Sorry, I wasn't thinking. Yes. So the free agency center is important. But if we have to get a tackle as well, then we need to know. Oh, good. Connor McGovern would be a nice alternative to Linderbaum. I think he stays in Baltimore or goes to New York Giants. Yeah, so we talked about Connor McGovern. He's probably going to return to the Bills. But we did say Cade Mays he's actually even a cheaper option than Connor McGovern, and I believe he's younger. Glasgow definitely is probably out of here. In free agency, you are limited because of the $18 million up in the air, but in the draft, you have to move as if Decker is gone. Well, those are facts, but the way that you mitigate all of that is by just getting the information from Decker. Hey, you staying or you leaving? What you gonna do? You know, that's pretty much it. Yes, or Glasgow a backup. He's not a starter. That's true. I don't want Glasgow on the team anymore. It's a wrap. You know. Gam G Channel? What up, though? He says they definitely need to sign the replacement center and draft one of the better right tackles and move Sewell to the left tackle. That's a good strategy, but you just have to. I think Sewell has earned whatever cachet, and he can tell you what he wants to do. But I wouldn't be opposed to moving Sewell. I know it's been 5 years, but I mean, he came in as a rookie, having played left tackle, and moved right into right tackle seamlessly. So I don't think it would be an issue with Sewell at all. So that's also a good strategy. All right, here we go. Mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they reading you? Next mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. If you have not been to the mockmachine.com, please go over there, sign up. The GM mode is fire. Let me know with the sign up thing, because someone was telling me yesterday that the sign up is not being saved. It's not signing. And I didn't have that problem. Shoot. Let me see. All right. Hold on. Forgot my login. Let's see. All right. Salute. In my opinion, I would like us to draft an edge and an OT with our first two picks, unless one of the top guys starts to fall in the draft. Who could you see falling in the draft? I won't know who's going to fall in the draft until in the combine, and then we kind of get some news. Maybe some people didn't test as well as they thought they were going to test. Maybe some people rise up. So I don't think at this point in time anybody's falling in the draft. Other than if you look at the Senior Bowl, someone that was expected to have a good Senior Bowl that didn't have a good Senior Bowl would be likely. Okay. So I gotta relog into the Discord, but I'll figure that out. All right. We need Francis Maui Noah. We all know those Samoans are certified linemen. Don't think Francis is going to be there. I really don't think Francis is going to be there. You'd realistically have to trade up to 10. And that's not, I don't even think you're going to have a shot there. I think he's going to be gone. He might be top 5. You know what I mean? So if he's there at 10, you would, see what to do, but I don't think he's going to be there. Fano won't be there either, in my opinion. Yeah, so this is the situation. I mean, nobody wants to lose to the Bears, but had you lost to the Bears, you'd be 13. So it would be easier to trade up into the top 10. In the mock simulator, is there a way to select just Detroit as your team and have the rest auto draft? It looked like it would auto draft, but only after the time was up for that team. There's supposed to be a skip the pick. Actually, you know what you can do? If you haven't seen, there is a speed adjuster. So you can adjust it by like times 10. I think that's how I did it. So you adjust it like 10 times speed and the picks just go like that. You know what I mean? So it's pretty fast. And that should be at the top. Hold on, let me check right now. I don't know. Can I bring in a screen from here? Let me see. I've never done it I can do it here. I can do it on mine. So if you're on LNU, you wouldn't even be able, well, you actually would be able to see it. All right, let me do this. Let me go to this. All right, and let me, yeah, so I will pull this up. Okay. So let's see. Start the draft. Let me see. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I gotta put the team pick back on. So here, and that's real time, and then we have 10 times, which is instant. But yeah, my team picks off, so I'll definitely fix that today. That's crazy. But you can see all that. Oh, and this one, Spencer Fanu was taken at the number 2 pick, and Maui Noah was taken number 3. So, so it's probably not going to. Yeah. All right. So, I think that's just the computer generated mock draft. Probably when you sign in, that will get everything going there. Oh wow. I don't know what happened there. Let me see. Did y'all see that at all? I'm like, the heck? Oh, okay. I know what I did. Okay. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay. Yeah. All right. Because I went back to the other thing. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, that was weird. Here's a name to watch out. OT Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. Yep. We've been on him. I see they have a GM mode along with the draft. It's not they, it's me. It's mine. I made that. So if you haven't seen the GM mode, I will show you the GM mode quickly. So let's go back. We'll turn that back on and we'll go back out of there. So GM mode, pick your team. Obviously, we're gonna go Detroit. So this is the news aggregator. I also need to change that to just have it aggregate like when you start the session, not when you change teams. Because right now it's changing teams. You aggregate as well. Yeah, we've got a few more teams and then it'll pop up. All right. So these are the free agents, obviously. Manage roster. Contracts 101, teach you how to do contracts. I still need to add more information to that contracts page. Team intel. Let's see. 2026 NFL free agency, free agents, notable departures for all 32 teams, mock draft. So all this stuff. So this is just news for the Lions and obviously just news in general. Okay. So yeah, so then what you do when you go to manage roster right now, we're at 7.4 million over the cap. It should be 8.5. And then it tells you what happens, how when you restructure Jared Goff, 100% of his cap hit, I'm changing it, confirm restructure, boom, now we got 42.7 million with one restructure, right? We're probably going to restructure Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Boom. And then boom, now we're at 115 million, right? So you're at 115 million. Then you just go to free agents, right? Go to free agents. Let me see. I want to sign Trey Hendrickson, so I'll negotiate with Trey Hendrickson. That's his spot track offer. I'll submit the offer. Trey Hendrickson is considering it. Okay. Now we advance a day. Daily recap: George Pickens signed with San Francisco. Devin Lloyd signed with Tampa Bay. Okay. Trey Hendrickson, his offer is Carolina. So my offer was 25.4 million. Theirs is 26.4. So let me update this offer. 27.7. Deal signed. Trey Hendrickson, couldn't refuse your offer. Boom. Okay. So now Trey Hendrickson is on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson. And we still have 87.7 million for this year. You see how that works? you see how you get Trey Hendrickson in here. You probably couldn't see all of that because I'm over here. I haven't minimized myself, but that is what that is. Appreciate you, Mr. Detroit City. I think you have to sign in so you can allow you to choose a team. You may have to do that for the draft. For the GM mode, you don't have to. But guys, check it out and let me know. That's what I'm saying. Let me know what you guys find, any bugs in there. And then I'll fix them. Website's working good now. Okay, cool. Gonna check this site out for sure. I appreciate you. I see you put a Brad Holmes mode where it's short columns, all hurt players for easy pickings. I did not, but that would be pretty cool. Lots of money for restructure. Yeah, so we got money. That's the thing. We have the money. I mean, and players like Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, you want them here long term anyway. So it doesn't matter if you kick the can down the road and you spread out their cap hits. It moves Marcus Davenport right to the top of the list in Browns. All right, y'all. I appreciate you coming through, stopping by, hanging out. Again, there is in the Discord, there is a mode, or there is a channel that allows you to report bugs and things of that nature. Let me see here. Verify this login. Okay, that. I'm just got to make sure that my Discord is my Discord. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm back into my Discord. If anybody is not in the Discord and they want to join the Discord, I will put. Okay. I will put this up. All right. So I'm going to put, before I leave, I'm going to put the link to join the Discord. Okay, let me grab this for you guys right quick. I hope I don't have to sign back into my Discord. I mean, to my WhatsApp. Of course I do. All right. Let me see. Linked devices. All right. Signing in. All right. So if you want to join the Discord, this is the link right there. And the channel to report the bugs is called the Mock Machine Suggestions and Bugs. That's what it's called. The Mock Machine Suggestions and Bugs. All right. So put your suggestions in there, put your bugs in there, and let me know. All right. Once again, the Motor City Cats R&D back at it. We came to give you stats, none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your lines news pragmatic. And we are out. Peace. See you tomorrow.